You Are the Medicine. I'm so excited and thrilled to be here with this wonderful star being today. Dirish is somebody that I met through another cosmic being. And as soon as I entered his stratosphere, because that's what it is, there was this big impact, this big activation, and that is his incredible energy. He is able to see behind your blind spots. He's able to pick out the things that you don't necessarily know about yourself, reflect them back to you with incredible humor. He has built a beautiful practice and business. Chakrasize your life. Yes, it is as potent and magical as it sounds. Working with energy, dance, movement, meditation, and yoga, he allows you to be inside of your own medicine, but he can only do that through accessing his own first. And we get to have a great chat with him about that today. Dirish, the one and only, welcome. Dirish Shakitias, that's the word, isn't it? Which is fucking awesome for Chakrasize Your Life. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much for having me. It's exciting to be here. And it's also really exciting to just kind of like connect with you and connect with your audience and just to really, share it all, give it all, serve it all. That's what it's all about.
I'm loving the background as well. It is just so Aquarian.
I mean, on a great day like this, you need to zhuzh it up.
So we had a little chat off camera. Basically, we're looking at this incredible journey, this humanitarian journey of wounds to wisdom to wealth. It's like the hero's journey if we really move into being inquisitive and curious about our conditioning as we were brought into this lifetime, that we can extract wisdom from what potentially could be seen as wounding. And from that wisdom, if we apply it, embody it, really live it, we get to live this abundant life, this prosperous life, this wealthy life, whatever that looks like to you. And I'm so curious because of your powerful energy and the way you're rippling out now and impacting lots of people with your own medicine, who little Dirish was. And, let's go all the way back to how he grew up and, what his conditioning was as he moved through his early years.
Well, let's take it all the way back to the year 2000. So my background, so my parents are from Mauritius. They moved here in the late 70s. My ancestors are Indian, so I've got a lot of culture in me growing up. And having that culture, there's a lot of baggage that comes with it. And I grew up in South London. I'm the eldest of two. And I have been on a serious, serious journey. I knew from the moment I popped out, I thought, I'm different. I'm not basic, I'm just not here for this basic life, this 9 to 5. I just knew, like, from the moment I came out, I'm a creative being. I'm an artist. That's like my roots. I'm an artist first. And I studied art. I went to art school, graphic design, tried to do what my parents wanted me to do, just wasn't happening. So I just kind of like dodged that. And I was really good at convincing them that this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to get there, and very determined. Because once you have a mission and you have a vision for what it is you want to do, there's nothing stopping you. You become unstoppable because there's a force coming through you stronger than your ego, So I was just like, yeah, let's go for it. And obviously, through that time, being so-called different, quote unquote, because I stood out for being quirky, for being an artist, for being just out of the norm, and going to a boys' school was insane. But you know what? It did toughen me up because I was soft and a bit too, what's the word? I was a bit too innocent, and I thought going to a boys' school really toughened me up. I got bullied hard because I was different. I would go into school with my hair blonde and didn't really care. Like I was just doing me, right? But doing me had an effect which wasn't always positive. And but in saying that, it did toughen me up and it did give me this kind of strong discernment and credibility, that street credibility, that I could just sniff something. If I could sniff something and something's off, I'm not going near it. Like, bye. And I've kind of always had that in me, even when I went to, and then I went to performing arts school. And that just kind of like, oh, liberated me. That was like a great escape from being bullied, being tampered down, being saying like, no, this is not how you behave. And I've always kind of been, I didn't really care if people found me different or whatever. I just knew I had a tribe of people that I could connect with, that just got who I was, you know. Like these days, people say, "Okay, see me," but that, you know, when we say these days, but back then I thought they get me, you know, they get who
Mhm.
I am. So I never felt like I was fully alone on this journey. And then discovering that creative side of myself was amazing, but also got me a bit distracted because being a double air sign, it was just a bit, it's a lot. And if you don't know yourself at that like tender age, it's a lot. You kind of feel like, and having a Pisces moon, I'm everywhere. I'm all over the place. I didn't feel like I was anchored in myself. And going through life with that being everywhere just made me feel so insecure, emotionally insecure. But I always knew that I had my family to hold me down. Like for me, family has always, no matter what I've been through, even when I came out when I was like at 19, even though they didn't um even though they didn't respect it, they didn't accept, but they still accepted me. I think that was really beautiful. And like, so I feel they've always been a solid rock for me to kind of lean back on. So that was really tough growing up, like not being able to speak my truth about feel who I am or begin to engage with other people, um, like romantically or anything, because I didn't feel safe to. I felt I was going to be judged. I felt like I was just going to be like rejected. And then those are things that, we all kind of suffer with, whatever it is, like not being, seen, heard, held, and all of those things. And all you want growing up is those things, all those validations, especially when you're going to the constructions of like school and those kind of environments. So and then I think once I reached my 20s, I was a bit more like, okay, I really want to get my shit together now. I really want to I want to feel stronger in myself. Like I went to uni, I did all the things, I did all the checkboxing that my parents wanted me to do. Even though I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, I just went to uni because that was a thing to do. What else I wasn't gonna do? And even then I had some mishaps and I got into fashion. Fashion was interesting. It was fun. It was very alive in me. I started doing a Buddhist practice actually, because I was this movie, Tina Turner movie came on, and Tina Turner like really through her struggles transformed through her Buddhist practice and gave her strength. And that really spoke to me as a 16, 17-year-old who just didn't know what to do with my life. And then I started chanting this mantra she was doing, this Buddhist mantra, and then I
Mhm.
kept doing, reciting, and then boom, like an epiphany happened. Like it was fashion that I wanted to do.
I
And
remember that movie. I remember that movie, and I remember that chant. In fact, I remember that moment so well. I also had that feeling, and she's moving the beads.
yes,
Yeah, powerful, powerful
like
moment.
from something really from something really powerful and profound to an epiphany of me watching Sex in the City, thinking I want to do fashion.
It's amazing. I mean, this is, we were saying this before we came on, the conversations that I'm having through this series, the things that have triggered people or activated people into a trajectory that essentially has become their wisdom now, has become their foundation, has become, where they get to go. And it's, no surprise to anyone just seeing the background that you've got at the moment. Like there's fashion, there's expression, there's self-expression. And I love that you touch on there because there'll be a lot of people listening to this that have got similar stories that they felt they were different growing up, and you can move in one way. I'm different, so I'm going to change myself to fit in, or I'm different, I'm going to allow myself to stand out.
Mm.
And depending on the mindset, and you mentioned your family, being this space that's actually safe enough for you to be fully expressed has allowed this rainbow energy to come through you, this kaleidoscope of energy, and being okay with being we would call different. But
Mm.
what the fuck is different anyway when we live in a space of unique energy? What was it for you that you felt different?
Um, I just always felt like I was in two different worlds for me. Like like I always feel like I'm flying in space, space cadet, double air energy. And I just felt like everything just felt basic around here. And the only thing that would give me life was, music and art and poetry and writing. Like I'm a poet as well. Like I don't really put that out into the expose myself as a poet, like that. But that's for me, that's like to nourish my soul is poetry. And so writing, all of these things were like therapeutic things for me. And when I was growing up, I just didn't, those were just things I would do, for me. I didn't put a label on it. There's just something that I did, and that's who I am. And growing up to like understand more about it and just realizing actually these tools are like what is linking you to the divine, like those are the things that are coming through you, and those are your gifts, and those are your pleasures to share with the world, because everything that we do is never for us, it's always to serve somebody else. And if you're holding that on, if you're holding that in towards you, you're never gonna be able to receive in abundance how you'd like to, because you're not sharing, you're not serving. And that was like that. I mean, those kind of moments came to me later on in life, but during the 20s part was really going into fashion design, working on all that stuff, and expressing myself fully, but not having the right backbone, not having the right mindset, not being around the right, I'd say the people were okay, but for me it was more like a lot of things from childhood would just kind of come out, like people pleasing, like not feeling good enough, all of those kind of things that were weak in me. And I think I came to burnout, and I thought I'm done with this. I need a break. I need to refresh myself. I'm sick. Tired of studying, tired of working and stuff. So I went traveling, went to Southeast Asia, and I really found myself, like found a missing piece, the spirit piece of me, which I did explore and experiment in my late teens, but then it kind of came back full surface. Like it really nourished me in a way that I've been seeking and looking for. And those moments of just using recreational drugs thinking that would be doing it, but going to Southeast Asia and discovering yoga, or yoga discovering me, and being in that abundance of nature and people and sunlight, and it just gave me this bountiful abundance of like what's possible, not just living life in London, but having this like whole world available to us to really be inspired by, and to recognize that there is more to living than just what I thought was a
Mm.
spec, as opposed to what else is out there. And I came back and I was like, I really want to change. I had this strong determination in me to change the way that I did things, um, and position myself in a place where I'd be able to work on myself and do what I needed to be doing, but also kind of still doing graphic design on the side, but nowhere near fashion. And it worked. My friend was like, there's this amazing spiritual center opening up, you should go check it out. I did. Everything just aligned. Everything was just like a yes, 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 and yes. And then from those moments, I just began to just do all the trainings. Literally, this was like a university of spiritual teachers, masters, because that's what I wanted. Like I was reading The Alchemist, and that book was really pivotal for me in my transformation and healing. And then through that, like it opened so much for me in terms of like who began to come towards me, who was I gravitating towards, who was I my friend circles changed. I was like changing really rapidly, and it was exciting, but it was also like, ooh, living life on the edge a little bit. And I was like a little bit in limbo, but it was fine. It was part of the journey, and I was just ready to flow with it. And yeah, built everything
So much
up.
there. There's so much there. I'm like,
Mm.
slow down, slow
Yeah, go on.
down.
I'll put a pin, put a pin in it.
I'm like, because because obviously what I want to show the audience is this there is a conditioned energy in us that allows, if we're curious enough to go back and look at what were those conditions and how can I start to attune what happened naturally for me to now consciously use that to move forward. And I can see as you're sharing like this colorful, exciting, sort of vibrant journey that it's very Piscean actually, that is like this taking you on this journey from one taste to another taste, to to another flavor, to another experience, to another awakening, to a space where, like you mentioned, your friendships change. I think a lot of people notice that when they're waking up or seeking something new, that they can take it personally that their friendship groups change. What was the moment for you as you were kind of going through that? You mentioned coming back to London, where you were like, do you know what? I can actually see that I can be of impact here for other people. I can actually be the nugget of gold that's coming out for others.
I didn't see it like that. I came back and I just thought, I just want to sort my shit out. I just really had this determination. I just want to sort myself out. Um, and then through all these different teachers' guides and oracles and all these kind of characters I began to meet, they were beginning to like have this amazing wealth of like wisdom and knowledge and expertise and experience. And that was super inspiring to me. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to, because I was seeing the impact they had on other people. And I thought that's a kind of meaning, it's meaningful. It was a meaningful position to be in. And I thought, and the respect that you got with it, just by doing I thought, wow, that's so amazing. Because no, you don't get that in the fashion world or the design world. Everything is you only get that recognition through the work that you do, but not as a person, not as a teacher or a leader. And that was quite exciting to kind of step into that. And then I began to realize through the journeys of like going through all the different trainings that I did, it's like, okay, cool, I can really pass this on, because if it's possible for them, it's possible for me, it's possible for the person who has no idea, because I've been in that position before. And if it's possible, it's probable, and that's what opens up the quantum field.
I like that. If it's possible, it's probable. And so, I'm almost there, smelling all the colors, seeing all the oracles, all the different, all the different jingle jangle that gets to be going on.
Yeah.
You mentioned recognition and respect. Moving back to that little boy that just wanted to be himself, and yet inside of, you mentioned these institutions, these constructions of school, etc., or career, there's a mixed line, a blurred line between the respect for the work and the respect for the person. And it feels like you had respect for you, but there was something outside of you that you were still like, how can I create that respect universally around me and not just in myself?
Well,
and vice versa energy, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, that I realized, like, if I don't have respect to myself, I'm not going to get the respect back. Everything is to do with you. It's never about the other person. It's about like you, like what are you bringing? What are you giving in that, in that space? If you're, because it's like, I think a lot of people focus on the result a lot. The result of I need to do this, 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 and this to get this, this, but they're not looking at the identity piece of like, who do I need to be in order to, like, how do I need to like shift gears in myself or elevate myself? Like, who do I need to be? Because a lot of the times we keep going and then we get frustrated because we don't get the results. And then we think we've done everything. It's almost like you're baking a cake, but you're not looking at the ingredients inside. You're just looking at the frosting and the glitter and the confetti of it. but what's beneath that you need to, in order for that to to have the right taste, you know? And I think that's what I had to learn a lot about, is the identity piece of who do I need to be. And that's the thing that I constantly check myself on now. Like, if I want to see myself in 10 years of being X, Y, and Z, then who do I need to be now in order for myself to get there? Because that's the vision. Yeah, that's the vision of what I get to see and get to you know, envision towards what the result may be. And then what is the shift I need to make in myself, you know? Because like I said before, if it's, you know, if it's possible, it's probable. But you gotta go inward to find what that is for you.
Yeah, and this is something that again is coming up quite a bit, and I really want you to kind of give us a bit more wisdom around the energy of, okay, I've got this vision, and what happened for you personally. I've got this vision, and to create that vision, I need to become someone, the one that sits in that vision.
Yeah.
What was the journey for you? And I know that there's a lot of embodiment there with, you teach yoga and movement and dance, and there's a lot of physical wisdom and embodiment with what you share. Can you take us on that journey of how that became apparent to you, and how you started to move into your own vision of who you wanted to be?
It was my mentors, my guides, my teachers. Those are the kind of people that were holding the kind of end product, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then through their teachings, through their learnings, it got me to look at myself. And I think that's because what I've noticed, Mary, is that, you know, you if you can't if you can't see it, you can't be it.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that kind of figure or somebody to be like, look, I've gone through all of this struggle, whatever, the stress, the drama, all of that stuff. I've worked through it, and here I stand. I've fallen down so many times, but here I stand, here I am.
Mm-hmm.
That for me, like, it's always about the person's story for me that begins to make me want to step into something, because I think that they've got fire, you know, that is the fire. And I had to work on my own fire to be able to build that, you know. And that fire that I tapped into, which took a lot to get in, that made me do lots of different kind of yoga, really get into my body, because I was a space cadet, because I just wanted all the happy, all the good energy stuff, and not really get into the body about it, because I was always the reverse. I always like to, like, I want you know, I want all the good stuff first, but I've also got to make sure that I can ground it
Mm-hmm.
well. So that meant really, like, looking at, like, what are the fears, what are the frustrations, what are the all the things that hold me back, and how can I then shift that whilst being in my body and not flying. And
Mm.
that I was using different energy tools with that. I was journaling, writing, releasing. And for me, it's part of the journey to do that. It's constantly do that, you know.
Yeah.
You don't just do it once. It's like, if you want bright teeth every day, what do you got to do? You got to brush your teeth.
Mm.
That's how I see it with this kind of work. It's like,
Yeah.
you've got to keep it a regular discipline. Otherwise, otherwise your garden is just gonna look dead, you know.
I like that. I like the simplicity of that, and I want our audience to see that the simplicity of. We hear a lot in the coaching space at the moment about being in alignment, and it's like, well, what is being in alignment? Well, first of all, being in alignment with that vision that you mentioned, and actually being that person. But what does that person do every day? Yes, if you want white teeth, go and brush your teeth every day. Then, the chances are you're keeping up the hygiene. What about your spiritual hygiene? What about the hygiene of your aura? What about the hygiene of your own life force energy?
Yeah.
And I love that you bring so much fun to these daily practices? Because I think, you know, as somebody that practices daily spiritual practices, daily embodiment, it's not always fun. You know,
But
sometimes it's
listen,
bloody hard.
for me, I've learned if it's not fun, it won't get done.
I'm loving the lines you're coming out. If it's not fun, it won't get done.
It won't. So I've got a banging playlist in the morning to get me grooving and moving, flowing and glowing.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it just won't get done. And you got to like gas yourself up for it,
yeah,
Um, so I do lots of different things in the morning, and I think that kind of keeps you focused, or how you say, in alignment. Like you can
yeah,
whatever words you want to use, but like that's what keeps you in your center. You're not being wavered. And the thing is, what's important for me is the people I keep around, because the people you keep around are a product of you,
mm-hmm.
because you obviously share the same values, you share the same kind of like interests and things, and things that you have in common. So those people are a reflection of you. And if I'm elevating, and listen, I've done this in the past, I've had to let people go because they're not on the same page. It's not personal, it's vibrational. So you just got to keep it moving. You
It's
got to keep
interesting. It's not personal, it's vibrational.
it in.
But it can actually hurt, you know. Let's not beat around the bush here. As you are elevating, you know, you said, oh, I wanted all the light and bright and I wanted all the good vibes and I wanted all the stuff, but actually to get that, I thought it was up here, but actually to get that, it was grounding it in my body. And it's a daily practice that is consistent as brushing your teeth to actually open that capacity. Can you talk to us about those moments, you know, where actually it's not personal, it's vibrational? Yeah, that could sound good, but truthfully,
Right.
moving away from a friendship group that potentially you're close with, mentors potentially,
I've
teachers,
had a lot of that.
you know, we've all experienced it to some degree. Tell us a story. Tell us a story about when something like that happened to you and how you managed it, your own genuine emotions of moving upward and outward.
It takes a lot of courage. I'm not gonna lie. It takes a lot of courage. And I like etymology. So the word courage, right, is time of the heart. Don't know if you know
Mhm.
that. Cur and age.
I
Cur
call it
and heart.
rage of the heart, but yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
but like it's time of the heart, and you got to really sit with yourself to be like, what is serving me my highest good? Because I don't feel like I want to be with these people anymore because they drain me. They're not looking after themselves like I'm looking after myself. They're not on their A game and as I am. And that's fine because they are where they are. And I've really had to learn to be compassionate about that, because before I was like, why are you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Like, because I was doing it and they weren't doing it. And I thought, and then I'm thinking they're on the same page as me, but they're coming with the good vibes only thing, but not really doing the stuff that's underneath it and bypassing the dark emotional stuff.
Mhm.
And then that hit me a few times because I just had this expectation that I wanted everyone to be on the lit train together.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
really had to make the decision to be like, I'm not going to take 10 steps back. I've worked too hard to get here. I'm not going to do that to myself. That's disrespecting and disregarding the things I've been doing. So I really had to sit myself in that space of truth and love for myself and truth and love for the situation, and really kind of distance myself from certain people. And even if things, exploded in an argument or something, I think before I just wanted to put love and light vibes on it, but actually life isn't always love and light. You have to have those moments of like standing up in your truth about it. If that means it exploding, then let it explode, because what comes after that is the clarity, is all the things that you need to move forward. So like during the panorama or pandemic, I think
During the panorama.
during the panorama, I like literally said goodbye to a good couple of people who I've known for like 10 years plus, because it's time to move on. I cannot keep being drained about this. You don't have, I don't give you license to call me at whatever time you want anymore because that's my boundary. I'm going out helping people every day doing what I do. The last thing I want to do at 10 p.m. is listen to you yapping away and dramatizing and draining my energy. Who's got time for that? I don't.
I think it's interesting that you bring this story, because I think there'll be a lot of people listening that, even though they're doing their own spiritual work, even though they're looking at their shadows, even though they're attempting to go deeper into their own self-love, their own self-care, they understand it logically, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. There are still people in their lives that they do genuinely love, and potentially they are people that are in their family, that are, they're married to, it could even be their children, it could be their parents, could be people that they do want to keep around, or maybe they don't, but that people pleasing, that boundary setting is very hard for people, even when they're elevating and they're moving into self-respect and self-love. And I find there's quite a lot of kind of going back on yourself when you get to that point. It takes, like you said, that courage. But what are the tips? What are the energies that we get to move into when we're doing our best to love ourselves, but there's people there that, yes, might be draining us. We're just not able to find the right language, the right communication, the right self-respect to place a boundary.
Yeah.
How do we work with that?
Well, number one, you're going to really sit with yourself and ask yourself, it comes back to truth and love again. Like being truthful to yourself and coming from a place of love. And if you can't verbalize it, then write it down. There's so many ways to communicate, right? And if you still don't feel sure, then reach out. I did. I took a whole freaking boundaries course just to understand boundaries. Now I'm teaching it.
And this is what I like about you, and I know I kind of want to move into that space now of what you're teaching and how you're teaching, because it's, for me anyway, in the last kind of 15 years, there's been a real shift from that kind of yoga teacher being a certain or being perceived a certain way, let's say, living a certain way.
Yeah.
Very, very kind of Eastern energy, all the way up to now, yoga in boardrooms, yoga in your suit, yoga before your business meeting and your multi-million-dollar deal. Yoga and meditation and movement and, literal spiritual hygiene or energetic hygiene is now being really seen as something quite important just to our general daily life. Like you mentioned, I took a course on boundaries. Who the fuck would have taken a course on boundaries 10 years ago? Would there even have been one?
Yeah, they probably would have, but we wouldn't have access to it.
Well, but potentially in very, very high level corporate environments, they would have called it something different. And it's interesting now that people like yourself and myself and other people that are in this audience are really taking this seriously. And I kind of want to take that seriousness and again bring it back to the fun of the chakra size and chakra size your life. And if this is wounds to wisdom to wealth, we've heard about the conditioning, we're experiencing the wisdom that you extracted from those experiences. Now share with us this bountiful level of prosperity, abundance, and wealth that gets to be created and felt and flow, the flow that comes through you.
First of all, I've got to pay homage and respect to my cultural upbringing, because my cultural upbringing, it was fueled with spirituality. We celebrate Diwali, the festival of lights.
Yeah.
We celebrate Holi, the festival of colors. We celebrate all these different deities. Like growing up in our house, it's always been celebration, celebration, celebration. So for me, and I didn't even know that I would be teaching this stuff now. Like, things from like the yogic scriptures of the Bhagavad Gita and all these things is now like something I'm teaching. So it's a privilege to be able to do that and just to serve that. And knowing that my ancestors are there with me and we all get to party together, And I feel like that is pretend, potentially the chakra size your life is the festival of lights for me. That's what I'm bringing, is the fest. You come to me, you're coming to the festival of light. You're coming to get lit up in a way, through movement, through dance, through meditation, through mantra, through embodiment and inspiration, through deities, through scripture, through, there's so many elements and aspects that I've grown up with that are now part of my service, of my art.
Mm,
And that's what it's about, is really going into really understanding each light bulb of each chakra and making sure they stay shiny, and making sure and noticing like what happens when it is dim, what's going on there. And that's the self-awareness piece of like, okay, and why is that manifesting in my life like this? Because of this and this. And that's where you get to put the little magnifying glass to feel like, okay, what's going on here? So you become your own spirit doctor, your own,
mm,
like some people call because I do one-to-one energy work as well, because I'm an energist. People say to me it's like soul surgery, and it kind of is, because you want to look into what is going on in these pieces of you that is not flowing right. Because if it's not flowing right, it's not feeling right. But when it does feel right, what you get to do, celebrate, elevate, uplift, and just be a ball of that oozing energy to be able to spread and to elevate to others as well, others who don't need it, who may need it and don't know they need it. But when you ooze it, like I say, your energy speaks before you open your mouth.
mm,
So if you're already oozing that, you're already creating ripples in the space. You're already influencing. That's why I think, everybody's an influencer, because everybody's always influencing something through their words, actions, thoughts, and energy. So, but if you're holding, like, if you're all chakra sized, everything is aligned, like you'd say, is like, that's what gets to really make a positive shift of profound positivity and upliftment throughout the whole world.
Let's not go small here, honey. Let's go big and bright. I really love this. Like, because again, as you're speaking, your energy comes before you, and your energy does come before you. It's a vibrant energy. When you even hear the word chakra size your life, to me, it is like ping, 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 ping,
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
rainbow lights brightening
yeah,
up.
yeah.
And I feel like, this is the next wave of spirituality where we can bring fun and play and devotion and celebration and color and festival and, like you said, like deities, but all of that genuinely serious esoteric wisdom, ancient cultures grounded in natural cycles for millennia, through the tapestry of our ancestors into South London,
Yeah.
through this being that gets to bring that through his own elevation into the lives and hearts of others in this really colorful, fun, but you're still getting the taste of this esoteric, deep understanding of human being.
Yeah, and that's how I've seen it growing up. With all the different like Indian gurus and swamis, and like even in South London, we've got loads of temples here and
Yeah,
everything. There's always, like, if you go to Oxford Circus, there's always people chanting on the street the Hare Krishna. So that's the thing I've grown up with. So it's always been in me.
yeah.
So, it's just like bodying that whole thing and bringing it to everything that you do, and not just seeing it as one separate thing, but it's like on during Christmas, I had my chakra size tree up. My chakra size your Christmas tree. Like, just like bring the, like letting that flavor be a part of everything. And that's what I do with like the brand that I do, is like it's inviting people into that experience, like letting people have that taste all the time, whatever that may be, through dancing, through meditating, through chanting, through different breathing or whatever it is. You're going to be activating your chakras. And those colors have always, like, I've grown up with so much color and vibrancy in my life. I'm an artist, so chakras always spoke to me, always spoke to me, and they kept appearing in all these things I was doing, in my yoga training, dance training, in my energy training as well. I thought these keep coming up, and they're very relatable as well. So even though they seem esoteric, they're very relatable. Like if you have butterflies in your stomach, if your heart's broken, that's not, your heart's not physically broken, but energetically, that's what it is.
Yes.
Or, like those terms that we all can relate to because we have them all the time. So that's why I love tapping into and being the kind of bridge between the two worlds. Because like I said, when I was younger, I was always dallying in the two worlds. And now I get to like, be in the balance of that because I'm a Libra. So
Oh gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's just so bountiful, and I feel like that's the energy that you bring. And as you're sharing about the impacts, the ripples that you get to have in the world now, and you go back to that little boy, he was already there. He was already, like you said, just bouncing around, enjoying all of this incredible world, these two worlds. And now to be able to use that as a purpose, as a space that you inhibit and allow other people. I said to you before we came on, for me, you feel like an alignment portal, and it feels to me like you come into your energy, and all of a sudden you can see where you need to play more. You can see where you need to be more colourful. You can see where you need to take things less seriously, and you've got all these great fun lines that are, like if it's possible, it's probable, and but it makes it relatable. It makes it fun, and I think that's one of the things that I really was attracted to. That what sometimes we can take spirituality and we're talking about you are the medicine. What the fuck is the medicine then? Well, if the medicine isn't play, if the medicine isn't fun, if the medicine isn't colorful, then I'm going to have to take a spoonful of sugar with
listen, when I
it.
was younger, I used to hate, that cough mixture that tasted like strawberry or something.
Yeah.
I would put it in a champagne glass with lemonade.
I mean, that just is perfect, isn't it? Penicillin. Was it penicillin?
Yeah.
I
And it would
remember
taste
that.
like if I'm gonna drink it, I may as well make it look glamorous or something that's gonna be fun.
I mean, if that is not the logo for this series, you are the medicine. Some penicillin in a cocktail glass. Oh, sass at a younger age. Sass at a younger age.
I
So
know.
what's the vision for you now? I know when we met, there was like, I've got these ideas, these different places that I want to bring my energy and bring my offerings. What's happening in your energy now? What is the bigger wisdom and the bigger wealth and
It's
abundance?
now time to put it into a book. It's now time to put it into a card deck. It's now
Mm.
time to go on tour. It's now time to like, I want to do big things. I want to do big collaborations. I want to chakra size your world. That's what I want to do.
Mm.
That's what I want to do, and just take it and create more experiences that are just refreshing, like just refreshing, uplifting things in the festival of life.
I love it. The festival of life. Dirish, you are a joy to be in conversation with. There is so much here. I know we get to have more conversations because there's a very limited time for such a massive amount of energy. But I love what you've shared with us. Can you leave us with something for our audience around you are the medicine? What would you gift us as your parting message?
Show up for yourself. Show
Mm.
up for yourself. Show up with love. Show up with your light, and show up with your truth.
Delicious. Thank you. You've shown up with your truth today, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dirish. Where can people find you if they want to
Oh,
connect with you?
you can find me. I'm all over the place, but you can find me at Dirish_Shakitias on all Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my website dirish.com. That's it. Dirish.com is probably easier to get. Everything's there. All my offerings is there. So there's lots of freebies on there as well. Feel free to book yourself for a free 10-minute chakra reading with me also, if you want to check your chakras.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in there. Well, there'll be links here that you can click as well. So there is so much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your rainbow light with us today. So much love, Dirish.
Thanks, Mary. Bye.
You are welcome.